Hey, what's up? Welcome to The Power and the Punchline. This is where the power gets honest and the punchline actually means something. We talk leadership, culture, influence, and real life. No fluff, no filters. I'm Rudy Rush. Let's get powerful.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here, episode 6 of The Power and the Punchline. Rudy, people didn't think we'd get through episode 2, man. We're here at 6 now. How you feeling?
Listen, you told me we wasn't going to make it this far, but we made it.
I did think we were breaking up after episode 1, but, we proved that we still good. We still good. We're still family.
Absolutely. We got a little fan base brewing too, man.
We are climbing, we are chart ranking, and it's all because of our fans. It definitely isn't us. I think, hearing your personal stories, bro, that brought out something that people wanted to hear and see. So people wanted to get to know Rudy Rush behind the scenes a little bit, man.
Yeah, if you think that's something, we got some time. We're gonna be together for a while, so it's gonna be a lot more stories. I got a couple of people from the comedy world call me about the Chris Rock story, and they were there as well, and they had the similar take because a lot of people don't know those little nuances that go along with being a comedian.
Yeah.
How we protect each other or how we supposed to kind of look out. And there was a point that was made, which I didn't know I was making. It was just a true story that kind of really turned people's opinions around about certain people and certain things. So, we're doing our thing out here. We're servicing the community.
Damn right we are. Damn right we are. And today, I think we're going to service a lot of people too, man. Today, I think, Rudy, we want to talk about the reality of surviving childhood adversity and those experiences and breaking generational curses that people may or may not believe in, but I'm here to tell you that they're real. And Rudy, I want to start with this stat, bro. I didn't think it was the truth. I knew it was a big number. I didn't think it was the truth. But 1 out of every 2, so 50% of U.S. adults have experienced some form of adverse childhood experience, meaning whether it was a bad household, abuse, neglect, dysfunction. 1 out of every 2, 50% of U.S. adults have experienced some type of what people would identify as an adverse childhood experience. That's according to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, which is crazy. And here's something that will blow your mind away. People that have experienced 4 childhood dysfunctions, abuse, neglect, whatever it is, if you've experienced 4 of those, those are the people that are more prone to depression, addiction, chronic health issues later on in life, man. So your childhood and how you accept or not accept those experiences have a lasting effect later on in life. And I know that that's not mind-blowing to most people. Most people understand that.
Yeah.
But what got me and what has me thinking is this, man. If 1 out of every 2 people that you see went through something in life, what that tells me, Rudy, is like 1 out of every 2 people you see needs a hug. And I don't mean that in a joking way. I mean, 1 out of every 2 people would appreciate just a solid hug. I got you. I'm here for you, man. Like, when you hear those stats, how does that make Rudy Rush feel?
Well, what's so funny, we were talking about this, people know we prep for these shows. And when we were talking about it, it was more just digging into, how we're finding out things about each other as being, brothers and working with each other. It's like, yo, what have you been through? Or you hear a story. And I got to be honest, I heard a story on your podcast, which is doing quite well by the way, Mick Unplugged. But, you had something on there and I didn't know it about you. And that's the funny thing about life. You could be sitting next to someone and riding with them for years and not understand like they've been through some traumatic situation because we all kind of tend to think we are the only ones who went through what we went through. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a trip to kind of find out that, and today we're going to dig a little deeper into it by talking about ourselves. But then there's some other situations that I've known some people or I have people in my life, like my younger daughter. She's going through something that I've never been through, a loss of a parent, at least not in my adolescent years. I lost my dad in 2019. He was in his 70s. I was well into my 40s. But for her to lose her mom at 14, it's a lot of obstacles involved with that and a lot more traumatic outside of just the norm. The possible verbal abuse or things that other people go through. To lose a parent that was a close friend, there's a lot of barricades and things that I have to deal with that's very difficult. So I was real interested in just jumping into this topic today.
I'm here for it, man. I think sometimes I hate to talk about my past because I've kind of turned the page on a lot of those things. But sometimes talking through it is like therapy, I put you in therapy to talk about you and Steve
Right. So
Harvey,
my
right? Like episode 3 for
Yeah,
those
you did that. Yeah.
episode 3, Pound the Punchline. Go check that one out. I'm ready for this therapy session. I have no idea because I told you, yeah, let's talk about it. But I was like, I'll be an open book. This will be my therapy session. And I think a lot of people are gonna get that out. So I'm gonna let Rudy ask me questions, get me to talk about certain things, and I'm gonna do the same for him. And I think, especially for men that are watching and listening, these are things we gotta do, right? These are things we gotta do. I'm ready for it, Rudy.
Okay, so I was thinking about it, and more than just a question, and more than just talking about it, I really wanted to kind of dig a little deeper. And if you're open to it, which you say you are, I watch you. You watch your friends,
Yeah.
especially when you get older, and we have a special relationship. Not only you're my friend, my brother, but you're a mentor to me in the sense of like helping me understand certain things about I've been kind of knocking my head on this comedy wall and some radio stuff. Like I wanted to pivot. And so that's where we are. But I'm watching. And not just because, you're a friend. I really like you. You're a good guy to be around. And I watch you with your family and how you are with your wife. And when I saw that clip from your show, it disturbed me a little bit because I felt like I knew you better. Someone would meet you and think like, oh, this guy came from a good situation. He didn't have oatmeal. He had porridge, breakfast every day, and great walks to school and conversations with family members. I met your cousin, so you come from seemingly a tight knit
Yeah.
community. You talked about your grandfather, and I was just like, man, this guy had his grandfather that just kind of like who was in charge of the family. So I thought you came from this background that in my world didn't exist for me. I knew it existed, but not for me. And so to hear you talk about how your mom went through these trials and tribulations, which become 3 to 4 times more yours, to
Yeah.
see somebody you love like that, as much as I feel and love for my mother, to see her to go through the things that she went through, she doesn't realize, even though that was her trauma, it was 20 times my trauma because to see her go through that. So I guess I want to start with, you know, I know a little bit about your past, but dealing with your mom, were you an only child? Do you have siblings? Like, were you the only one witnessing these things going on with your mom? Let's go there. Like in the beginning, when did it start? Basically, how old were you, or was it
Yeah.
always present in your life?
Yeah, man. So I I can remember every day of my life from like the age of 3, time before I turned 4. It's a weird thing, man, and I can't explain it to people to where they grasp it. And I don't mean moments. I mean, I can literally remember every single day.
Mm,
And growing up, I thought everybody could do that. And so I've been able to piece together who I am, how I got there, and all those things. But when did it begin? Like I said, I can remember every day of my life somewhere between 3 and 4.
mm,
And my sister was just born.
mm,
So I have 3 siblings. So I'm the oldest. My sister's 3.5 years younger than me, and my brother is 18 years younger than me. And my brother was born right before I left for college. So just to put some paint on the canvas for everybody.
yeah, yeah.
But my sister was just born, and I remember hearing my dad yelling at my mom, like yelling. And I remember pounding, right? Or thumping, like thumping noise. And so at 3, like I understood what that was.
Mm,
And I'm not gonna exaggerate and say every day, but weekly that was a recurrence,
mm,
right? But I also knew as I got older, and it probably started at 10, or not probably, it started at 10, that I couldn't let that be reality, man. Like I couldn't
mm,
let that be the norm because for the most part, nobody knew that it was going on. Nobody knew the abuse and yes, physical. But I think what was more impactful for me was the emotional, the financial abuse
mm.
that my mom went through. Like my mom used to have the greatest smile. And I remember there were years that I never saw that smile.
Wow. you know and I'm not to cut you off, but as a kid you remember those things so vividly when a person turns off that light, and they don't even realize it. And so to you know how long did your dad stay with you guys? How long before that abuse kind of came to a stop? Because when it stops in everybody else's mind, it still continues because the
Yeah.
residual is still there.
Yeah. So here's the crazy thing. And I say this in full sincerity because I know that there are other people that this is going to click for. I was raised in a 2-parent household. but raised by a single mom at the same time. Like my dad was physically there most of the time, all the time, but emotionally, mentally, fatherly, nah, never there. Like I can count on one hand at max 7 fingers, like true father son moments of like, I need to talk to you or whatever. Like I can count those, right? Shouldn't be able to count those, but I can count those. So he was there. He just wasn't present. I think that's the right way to say it. He wasn't present. Right. And so for me, it was never one of those things where I had to figure out or we had to look to where the next meal was coming from. Like that was never a problem. Like I do have a close knit family, but I would say most people didn't realize it was going on, or if they did, like it was unspoken. Right. Like it was like check on them to make sure everything is good. Again, not from a financial standpoint, I think just
Yeah,
from an emotional standpoint. Right. But in my neighborhood, we had one of the nicest looking houses, like exterior, yard, amazing, all that.
yeah.
Inside, it felt like prison, bro. Like, inside, it was cold. Like, inside, it was dark. Like,
Mm,
when I think back to growing up, on the inside of my house, like, it just like, the lights were off.
mm,
That's what
mm.
it's like dim and dark and gloomy.
So
And again
how would you describe your relationship with your pops? Like, like sometimes when we have these people who are, the abuser or the authority or the person
yeah.
that's like everyone's in fear of, was there a relationship between his oldest son and himself? Like, what was that like if you could describe that?
Yeah, I mean, he would probably say we had a relationship, but, like, me being on the other end, like, we didn't because we didn't talk about life much, man. Like, I was the kid that would go to football, basketball practice. My dad would be there, and then I'd go home and have to have another practice because it wasn't good enough. I'd be the kid that scored 4 touchdowns in a game, scored 20, 25 points in a game, but what was pointed out was what I did wrong. And I'm gonna
Yeah,
be real, actually, I appreciated that.
yeah.
But that was every day for me. Like, that every day of pointing out where I could be better or what wasn't going on. And again, I didn't need it made me sharper actually. Like, I didn't need the pats on the back, and I think that's what shaped me today of not needing the pat on the back. Like, I'm so
Mm.
determined because, like, my dad made that of me. So if there was one good thing that he did, it was he made me the most competitive human in the world.
Or maybe a positive effect of how not so much his
Yeah,
plan, but just the way that
yeah,
he was,
yeah,
kind of molded you into a different person,
yeah,
kind of, made you stronger in ways because of what he did, not
yeah,
because he did it
absolutely.
on purpose. Yeah.
Absolutely. But from a relationship standpoint, like that wasn't there. And there were a lot of things, man. Like again, I'm not saying that I went through things that people didn't go through. So like my situation by no means is this me trying to out situation somebody at all. Because people went through far worse than I did.
Hmm.
Like I can promise you, people went through far worse than I did. Like my dad was abusive to my mom. And so at a young age, I started to understand emotional intelligence to be the benefactor or the recipient of that abuse when I could. I started to understand what ticked my dad off or what would
Mm,
trigger him. And so I would just make sure that that acknowledgement went to me
mm.
instead of elsewhere as much as I could. Couldn't control them
Much as
all
you, yeah, yeah,
as much as
exactly.
I
Yeah,
could.
yeah.
So,
No,
right? Like
absolutely.
like if something was going on or I could sense that he's about to be upset with my mom, like I would do something crazy. Like and my mom and sister are probably listening to this right now and they're gonna remember this moment. And for the first time, they're gonna understand like the psychology of what went into this. But there was a
Yeah.
moment where my dad was in a mood, and I'll just say it that way. And I'm probably 14, 15 years old, and I'm washing dishes. And I could see the thing building up in him. And
Yes.
he's questioning my mom and sister on some things, and I'm like, no, 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 no. I see where this is about to go. So I wash dishes and I purposely drop a glass and shatter it
Mm.
on purpose because I knew he was already agitated. He was already
Yeah, yeah.
upset.
He was already in the mode. Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, I got to prepare for what probably is going to happen, but I'd rather take it versus my mom and sister get it. So I break the glass and my dad flips out, like flips out to the point where I'm like 14, 15. Like I'm not going to say I'm a grown man, but I'm a grown
But
man,
you're a big boy. You
right?
playing football,
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
people need to
I'm
know
in the gym. Like I am, I'm that dude, right?
just for some context, because everybody sees the lovable, huggable Mick. Mick was that dude, man. I mean, you were getting scouted from
Yeah.
colleges. You
Yeah.
were, you know what I'm saying? You were a fullback, which people who understand sports, that ain't no soft position.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're built coming into your own, and depending on how big or how small your dad was, you're probably comparable to his size. So that's
Bigger than my
what,
dad.
okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. I would think so, but we never spoke about that. But yeah, so
Yeah.
you're feeling that episode where, hey, I'm a man too. I'm coming into mine, and now you got this guy who
Yeah.
sees you as a threat, possibly.
Yeah.
So how did that transpire? What happened after that?
So let's just say I didn't stay in the house that night.
Wow, really?
Yeah, like there was no way that that was gonna be able to happen that night.
So
Like
where did you go?
went somewhere. I'll just say that. Like I
Okay,
went
okay,
somewhere.
okay.
But it was one of those things, man, where it was like, I think that was the turning point for a few things. That was a turning point because again, I would always do things like that. Like I would always take the pressure off of the household and put it on me because I was prepared for it, right? Like when you can prepare
Yeah,
for a verbal assault, for a physical assault, like it's never as
yeah,
bad as it could be. Not
yeah.
saying that it's right or that it's justified. It's just that was my way of taking things off my mom, my sister.
So when you would take that focus off of them, would it get physical with you? Has your father gotten physical with you to the point where you guys are actually, well, you're coming into your own, but there's a respect that doesn't allow you to wrestle around with your dad. But was he like very like physical with you?
Nah, nah. Again, you get to a certain point where you start to mature mentally and physically, and you start to get some of that wisdom as well too. So it's like if you want to try it, we can try it. But I know what I'm doing to other people. You don't
Yeah,
want
I
that either.
just
You
got
know what
off
I'm
the
saying?
field.
Like
I'm ready to rumble.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. To everybody watching, I wasn't always the smile in your face kind of guy. Like I was never a bad kid, but like I had
Yeah,
to
no,
protect
you don't have
home.
to explain. You were out there. Some of our greatest heroes played on the gridiron. We understand, like
Yeah,
Walter Payton or
yeah.
even someone like Ray Lewis. There's a switch, and if that goes off in the house, that's a different switch to deal with.
Right, right. And so it would be more just like verbal chastising, a lot of what he thought was uh, emotionally abusing me. I would say like he thought he was like, you're not worthy of this, or you'll never be as good as this, or all that. But again, I didn't care. Like I knew my purpose.
Yeah.
But going back to a little bit more, man, like for people to understand me, like those that know me know that I rarely sleep.
Mm,
Like rarely. But here's why. Because a lot of times my dad worked like third shift. For those that don't know, that was like nighttime. That's like
mm,
11 p.m. to like 8 a.m., right? Like that's
yeah.
third shift, right? So my mom would like cry at night and like almost cry herself to sleep. And so I would feel like if I stayed up and I would sit by my door and she knew that I was there with her, even though I
Mm,
wouldn't physically go in the room,
yeah.
every time because like some nights my dad didn't work third shift, so he'd be in the room too. But like I wanted her to know that I was there,
Mm,
and so I would stay up until the crying stopped. Man, like I wanted like if my mom's gonna suffer, like I didn't want her to be by herself, and so it was just natural for me to just stay up, sleep like fall asleep for maybe 2 hours, right? Just
mm,
because I wanted my mom to be safe, or if something was going to happen with my dad being home,
mm,
I needed to create that distraction, right?
yeah.
That diversion. And so like I just stayed up. Like I felt it was selfish to go to sleep if harm could be had.
Yeah. And did your mother know that you were doing this? Like, did she feel like you were her protector, or she had no clue?
I mean, there were certain things that she felt, but like the little things, like she's probably hearing it right now for the first time
Wow. Wow.
in that sense.
And your father, was there a time where he would like, because this is, and I hate to call it the villain syndrome, but villains are very intelligent too.
Of course.
And what I mean by that, did he ever sense that, oh, I see what my son is doing now? He feels like he's protecting the house. He's protecting his mother and his sister from me. How
Yeah.
dare he? Like, did it ever click, or did he ever respond to that new role you've taken on?
Yeah, it definitely happened. And again, this is like first time anybody's hearing this. Like, my brother edits our show, so he's about to hear this for the first time too, right? So because he wasn't born then when this
Yeah, he wasn't
happened.
around. Yeah, yeah.
So not to knock religion or Christianity because I'm a believer myself, but there was a time where my dad was saved, right? We'll just say it that way. He got saved, and then he immediately wanted to be a minister, a preacher. And in my mind, I'm like, wait, you just got saved yesterday. Like, you can't tell somebody something and we don't know if you really. But anyway, again, not knocking it out. I don't mean to be funny on that piece. But then there was a moment where he went back to his old self. Like not anything major happened or whatever, but it was enough that I'm 16 at this point. It was enough for me to put my physical stamp down.
Mm.
And while nothing physical technically happened, we both knew that if he was going to be the man of the household, then I needed to leave because I was like, hey, I'm that dude, right?
Yeah.
Like there's going to be no more. Like I finally got up enough because I felt like if you're saved now, like we can have an intelligent conversation.
Absolutely.
So there's going to be no more of the abuse, like none. And I'm not talking about to me, like just in this household, there's going to be no
Period.
more. He
Zero.
and I are having this conversation.
Yeah.
And he just kind of looked at me and was like, well, you do know that this is still my house. And I was like, if that's what you want to say because you pay the mortgage, cool. But there's still going to be no more of this, that, and the other. And so we agreed that I shouldn't be there then. And I made a point that that's fine. But those two, and I was talking about my mom and my sister, it's just going to take one call. Like I promise you, it's going to take one call. Wow. And so I went to go live with my grandparents. And so there's family that are hearing this for the first time that never understood why
that happened. Wow.
Because I made up a story, but no, that's the truth. We couldn't be in the same household because I was not, and I'm looking in the camera, I was not going to allow anything to happen. I can promise you. To this day, I will not allow anything to happen. And so that became the dynamic, man, of me. And so, I've told this part of the story a little bit, like in order to change the curse, right, of what that family was going to be, I had to be the best at whatever it is I was going to do, man. So and I knew that at 10, like I was going to have to be the best student. I was going to have to be the best, whatever it was to change lives. Yeah. Like if that meant being an actor, a singer, an athlete, like I was going to have to literally be the best because that was the only way that I could guarantee that I could change it. Right. And so I was competitive to a fault. Like people hated, I shouldn't say hated me. They just knew that if I was around, like, okay,
you gotta come and get it.
Makes here to play it. Yeah, like, there's no like, hey, we just gonna do this for fun. Like, nah, like if they're keeping score, I'm winning. If there's a grade, I'm making 100. Right? If there's a valedictorian, if there's a highest accolade, I'm doing it. And I hope now that people, as they hear this story, understand it was never about me. And people that know me know, like, there's never been an instance of life where anything has been about me. The only way that I knew how to be the best, which meant that I could get a scholarship, which meant that I could get the job, which meant that I could start the business, which meant that I could go meet whoever. The only way that I could be the best was nobody could say that they were better than me.
Yeah.
Like, and I had to make sure that no one could say that they were better than me. And again, it wasn't from an ego standpoint. It was just the fact of now we're going to talk about the realness of life. Being a young Black man, right? Like if I were not the best, there might not have been an opportunity. You can't deny an opportunity to someone that is clearly the best at whatever it is that they do.
You can try, but yeah, you'll wind up coming back to it. But like you said, chances are, if you're the best, you're going to go through every door that requires you being that, and you had to be that.
And so that was the method to my madness, man. And so I left, my parents stayed together. Then my brother was born, like right before I left for college. And so then that added to the fact of I got to be the best and I got to protect. And I've got to be, now that we're talking about breaking generational curses, like I knew how to handle things. But with my brother, obviously brother being a male, I had to make sure that now I was setting the legacy for our last name. And I wanted to make sure that he understood that anything that he might see in the household, he doesn't need to take as a defining thing or a defining moment either, even though I'm away.
Yeah.
So my brother early on I treated him like my son. And then he was my best friend. You know what I mean? And so that's the relationship that we have. And same thing with my sister. Like my sister, I treated her like a daughter. And now she's like my best friend. And so to me, that's what everything, even my mom, like I never saw my mom as my mom, which is totally weird. I saw my mom as the closest thing to me that I had to protect.
Yeah.
Just so happened she was my mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like even today, like I talk to my mom sometimes like she's my child, right? It's like, hey, but it's all about not just breaking what could potentially be a curse or a standard. It was destroying it, bro. Like not just breaking a curse, because things that are broken can be put back together, right? I had to destroy that so that the last name that me and my brother now share, had to mean something for everybody else.
So I like that the story and how it's arcing, but one twist I wanted to give you, and I don't know if anybody's ready for it. Myself, I had to deal with it, and I'm dealing with it now. I talked about it earlier, but you're a father now. You're a husband, and there's a small alleyway where your past and your future meet. And that means the man that you decided to be when you were going through this traumatic situation with your dad, and now the man that you are becoming. But this situation that you're becoming is now filled with trials and tribulations, and the kids with opinions of you, and the wife with opinions of what you are and who you are and how you treat her. What difficulties, if any, did you come across like dealing with your kids now, and how is that relationship? Or did you ever have to go back into that time machine and give your father some grace, a little bit of a not completely, and I need to know that. But you know what I'm saying? But was there any time that you, as a parent, had any struggles and you look back and said, you know what, man, it's tough. I'm handling it this way, different than my dad. But at the same time, I understand that there was a way to handle it. And this is what I learned from that. And it made me a better guy. And thank you, Dad, for that, as bad as it was.
So I can say there's never been a moment where I've been like, "Thank you, Dad." Like that, I can promise.
Mm,
But
mm.
there have been moments for sure where I have to make sure I don't do what he may have done. And again, like here's the crazy thing: I haven't talked to my dad in a while, but if he called, I'd pick up the phone, and vice versa. Like if I called him, he'd pick up, and we talk, and we would have good conversations. Like the weird part is, like I'm not gonna say forgiveness because I think that's what people want to hear,
Yeah.
like it's not really what you feel, but we can have conversations, right? Like when my dad and I talk, like it's never anger or anything like that. Because again, I'm not saying I've forgiven him. I've moved on. Like my mom's good now, my sister's good now, my brother's good now. So if they're good, I don't have to go live in that past. We just
Yeah.
don't talk, right?
Yeah.
So what did I do like with my kids? It was just more being emotionally intelligent to circumstances and situations. Again, like I'm huge on emotional intelligence, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, it's twofold. It's my emotional intelligence, but then it's also making sure that I'm not doing something from the past because genetics are genetics, right? Like biology is biology. So I have to make sure that I understand if something I'm doing or saying is natural, is it genetic? And is that a good gene or is that a bad gene? And if
Yeah.
I perceive it as a bad gene, how do I do it differently? So, like, there were moments like I made sure that I was a much better father than my dad was, which meant that I talked to my kids more. I talked to my kids like adults from day one. I raised them like adults from day
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I can honestly say, like, the one thing that I remember changing was I remember spanking one of my sons and then realizing, why am I spanking him versus talking to him?
Yeah.
And so then I never spanked my kids anymore.
Yeah, that's a real moment, and it's
Yeah.
funny you mentioned that because I had that moment with my youngest who, I have two girls, and I never spanked either one of them because I just felt like one, a man spanking a girl is just crazy.
Right. Right.
But that little one, she pushed it. She like it was potty training time,
Yeah.
Mick, and she was told to just be, mindful. Just tell daddy you gotta go potty. Man, she sat on my brand new couch and looked me right in the face and just let it go. Right. And
Yep.
I was like, I went and got a belt and every bit of, and just to see her face when I just was about to, and I wasn't gonna hit it, but I wanted to put the fear of God in it, and I did. And it took everything in me not to go somewhere and cry because I saw my child and I saw myself who was beat regularly as a kid. And I was like, I would never put my hand on either one of them. So, you grow up and you have these moments. And I'm saying to you, like, your kids, you giving them that emotional support and that understanding, being a listener. But have you ever hit any walls with your children to make you feel like, man, there's going to be a misunderstanding between a parent and a child, especially when you're trying to create rules and regulations and standards?
Nah, I mean, Again, I would say because I talk to my kids like they were adults, I raised them like they were
Mm.
adults, and they still got to be kids. So I'm not saying I was like
Yeah,
Joe
yeah,
Jackson by any stretch of imagination. It was a great environment for my kids to grow up in. But I would explain things. So like if I told them no on something, I would explain. Like we grew up, right? You ask your parents something and it's like no, and you're like, why? The answer was because I said so,
yeah.
and
That's
you
it.
accepted it. So I would explain the because I said so rule. And sometimes it was like, hey, if I say yes to everything, if I condition that you ask and I'm always going to say yes, you're just going to start assuming things.
Mm,
So we got to create these boundaries of you can't ask for everything that you want. But if you are, then explain to me why it's important. So like there are
mm.
criteria when you ask me for things now. And
Yeah,
so that
yeah,
was there. But I would say the walls, and I would say this is for every parent, I think, goes through this because I want to ask Rudy this question too. I think the walls start to become as your kids get older, right? And even though you talk to them as adults, but now they can really think like adults, or they have vehicles now, or they want to go places that aren't just spending the night at Timmy's house, right?
yeah, yeah,
Or Jennifer's house, right? Like now they want to go on a 4-hour weekend trip with
yeah,
somebody, or they want to fly across whatever, and like you got to have those. And so I think if there were walls, it was just me internally saying, "Is this okay?" Like I know I would have never been able to do this. I probably never wanted to do this, but
yeah,
because my kids want to, like at first it was always like, "Heck no, you ain't going to." When we lived in South Florida, you're not going to Atlanta for the weekend. Like
yeah,
I remember Freaknik, right? Like I remember shout out to Freaknik. But anyway,
yeah, yeah,
I remember what went on, and that was a long time ago. I can only imagine what happens now.
yeah.
So
Oh
for
yeah,
me, it was those walls of just accepting the life changes and how do we go through when I gotta say no for a valid reason and it's gonna break your heart. But again, every parent goes through
yes, yeah.
and you with girls. So now I'm gonna flip it to Rudy. You with girls, man. What is that like when it's like, hey dad, I wanna go over to Susie's house this weekend. And Susie's parents ain't like Rudy Rush. And Susie's parents sometimes home, sometimes not. Susie's parents like to party too. Like, what is that like when you have girls? Like, because my oldest is a daughter, but you have two girls, right? And what is it like when they get to that point where it's like they don't want to play with the dolls anymore?
Nah.
They don't want somebody to come over for the day or the weekend. Like they want to go do something, and you like, wait a
Yeah.
damn minute.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's tough. One of the things I used to look at other parents, and I would reach out to these other young ladies because my daughter, she's 19, and she was with me from the age of 16. Like, because when her mom passed when she was 14, we struggled for the custody because she didn't want to leave where she was from, and all of these people who were her mother's friends, and she has an older brother. But to get her and to have that 16-year-old who has friends, and these girls would come and congregate at my house, at our house. And, I would never allow Ryan to go somewhere where there was a male presence solely. So there was a huge undertaking as far as me feeling comfortable and helping her understand, like, listen. So I used to cut off walls. I'd be like, hey, I'm gonna get my food and I'm gonna have my stuff and I'll be in my room. Unless, of course, you absolutely need something from me, I'm not coming out. So you guys can have the living room and the but I would also, call the parents and be like, hey, your daughter's over here, and I would always ask where you're going. If she was going somewhere, who's going to be there and stuff like that. So with girls, it was very tough. I got a 9-year-old, so I'm easily, I come to school with half a shirt on and they be like, dang, your dad's got, I'll be in there like, yeah, here. Them kids are scared of me. You can start early that way.
Right.
But the oldest, she dated a couple of guys. She liked them. And I always made her feel comfortable. Like, yeah, he can come sit in the living room or he can come meet me or whatever if he gets to that point where you like him that much. And so, I try to make my oldest feel like, I'm not your friend, but I'm a guy who you can come to. I know you're going through a lot with not having a mom. And that was another thing. Like, moms can get all the boyfriend talk and like, oh, he's cute and he's this and he's that. With me, I was trying to give as much of it as I could, but I also needed to be that protector too. So I'm like, well, where is he going? One time they went out and the kid decided he wanted to change into his basketball attire, whatever. And I didn't like that. And I made it be known because it looked totally different to a dad. Like, why your clothes off? Why is your clothes changing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a moment, and I had to trust my daughter in her explanation. She didn't like giving it to me, but she had to. So yeah, with girls, it's extremely tough. And like you said, I tried not to be like either one of my parents because I grew up like yourself in a similar situation with abuse. I didn't have my dad in the house. He was adjacent, lived in the city that I lived in, but my parents broke up before I even turned one. You know what I mean? I was a 10-pound baby. My pops couldn't follow that. He was like, yo, I'm out of here, bro. 10 pounds. I don't know.
Yes,
You know what I'm
sir.
saying, man? But but yeah, I totally get everything that you just said. But the funny thing, like I said, to go through things and to see people like you go through it. I had a cousin who lost his mom at the same age my daughter was. So I'm very blessed to see people have to go through things that I went through because I thought I was by myself for so long. But you said something very important in the beginning. You really acknowledged all of that you've been through. There were people who went through far worse, people who have
Absolutely.
gone through major
Right.
major levels of abuse, physically, emotionally, and otherwise.
Yep.
And you count your blessings and you put that time machine, you close the door and you're moving forward. And that's what people need to understand. And I like that about you because that's the part of my life that I had to rediscover to close those doors and let go and talk to my mother now about the things I was uncomfortable with. And we had to talk recently. And for the first time, she took it different than just defending herself. She listened and she came out later and we talked about something else. Usually she'll shut down. I won't speak to her for a few days. You know what I mean? And I thought that was a beautiful thing to be able to do that. So yeah, man, it's tough, bro.
It is. It is, but it also makes us stronger, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It makes us not just stronger, but also reflective. I think for me, I'm definitely much more reflective. I pay attention. I make sure I'm present a lot. Shout out to Damon John on that one, who literally told me the best value that I could have in life is being present.
Mm. Yes.
Your
Yeah.
family, your friends, your coworkers, your team, being present because you never know how far that goes with people.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like I'm going through some things now and I know I'll be on the other side of it as long as you stay diligent and, but the present part, it's hard
Yeah.
because I think, that's the thing I learned about the difference between my father and I. He just took it as an opportunity of I'll get to it. Like if this is keeping me from my children, I'll get to it. Or when they get older, I'll get to it. And sometimes that's not promised to you because people's change. So when your child is of age, now you got another barricade because they don't want to speak to you because of you not trying harder to kind of get to see them or whatever. So I do every and anything I can with the resources that I have. And, fatherhood is it's a privilege, man, to be in a fraternity, of there's guys out there who can't have children,
Yeah.
who don't have children, who want them
Yep.
just as bad as we say, we take it for granted. So, bro, yeah. But when I saw your story, I was very intrigued because you come across, as you do, you're very welcoming. And I'm like, man, this guy comes from a great place and
Look,
he's got a,
look,
yeah.
I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to interrupt for everybody. What Rudy is saying is he thought I grew up like in the Huxtable household.
I thought you was,
Rudy
I
was
thought you was
like,
cockroach, bro.
right, right. Rudy thought I was cockroach. Right. Rudy thought I was the dude that like had it all. And again, when I talk about what we went through, like it wasn't financial. Like I'm not saying we were rich by any stretch of imagination. Like if you know my grandfather, like he was not going to let any of his children or grandchildren not have food. Like we grew up on a farm, right? So
Yeah,
like food was not a thing, but it was just the emotional support, the financial, the emotional abuse that we went through.
yeah.
But yeah, Rudy thought I was Mick Huxtable. That's what he's really saying.
Yeah, and but I knew there was a down to earthness to you that you could see things in me, which, I tell people I play the story back and it's amazing how we became friends and now we work together and how all of the things had to click in order for that to happen. But, before that, I was saying, these affirmations about being in the right place at the right time. And I was with in regards to our, relationship now. So I just feel like, as we grow, man, and help people understand that they can kind of open up and discuss these things, I like this about the show because we're not out here bashing or just talking about this craziness. We kind of just getting to a point where people need to sit, black, white, or whatever. They're going through it. Like you said, 50% people. That's everybody.
Everybody needs a hug, man. Everybody needs a check up from the neck up. And you never know what people will appreciate, man. Just to hey, I see you. Like I text you every once in a while, like, hey, I see you, bro. Like,
Yeah.
like sometimes it's just on my heart to just let you know that you're seen because a lot of times we need that. Like you message me every day, like just, hey man, just want to put a smile on your face, right?
Now, I got to tell everybody too, and I got to thank you. I was going to thank you afterwards, but there was a time like there was something going on, major things in my life. And I was just like, yo, Mick, tell me it's going to be all right. It was like a scene from the Titanic. Tell me it's going to be all right, brother. And you know what? You was like, man, bro, I got you. You know what I'm saying? And that was the beauty of, you inviting me into the circle and stuff like that. And I appreciate you for that, man. But that's another thing. Like, we use some words that are not used, not only in the African American community, but in the fraternity of men. We would both be like, yo, man, I love you, brother. And I mean that, with everything. And I try to, I got a cousin, they not used to saying it. So I make sure I say it every time. Every time we talk, we have great conversation. I'm like, yo, man, I love you. He be like, oh, man, yeah, all right. See you later then.
Nah, it was for everybody that's watching or listening, man. So again, when Rudy and I first exchanged numbers, we chatted, we talked or whatever. About 2 weeks later, Rudy sends me a text. Hey, is it gonna freak you out if I tell you I love you? And I was like, well, you just sent it to me. So
Yo, man, let me tell
if
you.
I don't respond, you'll know the answer.
You ain't got to tell the people that, but no, seriously, man. Because I'm a person who I've had a great journey in this life. Life is short. It's shorter the older you get. You realize, but it's been an awesome ride, and I had a lot of great experience and a lot of great people in and out of my life. And to acknowledge them is to say, like, even though we work together, and that's cool, and it'll bring us a lot of great things, but the friendship more than anything, you saw me. And I can count on my fingers the people who actually saw me, not saw something that they can gain or who saw me as a person. So that's the reason why, like, I rock with you, bro.
Rock back with you. I rock back
Yeah,
with you.
yeah.
So, we kind of dominated the episode because we had a full run of show that we were going to do, right?
Yeah.
But I know everybody's like looking at their watch right now, like how much longer Rudy and Mick.
Yeah.
But the famous segment, the segment that everybody tunes into is Rudy's top 5.
All right.
So again, this top 5, who we gonna have sponsor the top 5 today?
So, I called Damon John. He don't answer the phone as quickly for me as he does for you, even though I knew him back in the early 90s. But anyway, Dame, I'll see you
Fubu a
soon,
shout out
bro.
for this one. Hey, Fubu and Fubu suits. Because when y'all see me on stage, 70% of the time I am now in a Fubu suit. So go check out Fubu suits. Go check out Fubu. How about that?
Yeah, a lot of people didn't know those Fubu. Those Fubu suits are nice too. Nice. I like the navy.
Hey, those Fubu suits are nice, great, amazing quality.
No, absolutely.
And look sharp.
Absolutely. So, you know what? Speaking of sharp, we just had an interesting Super Bowl. Everybody watched the Super Bowl, but the biggest Super Bowl thing is, of course, now the halftime show. Who's going to be on it? Who is Jay-Z going to give the nod to? Blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of controversy. But I was thinking in that theme, what were the top five Super Bowl halftime moments of all time?
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So I compiled a list, and you may like it, you may not like it. Bad Bunny's not on it, but he did his thing. You know what I mean? It was shout out to Bad Bunny. That was the most culturally interesting halftime show of all time.
Yeah.
Put that in the category by itself. But I got the top 5 here. Started with number 5. I don't know if you like her. I love her. She's the cutest thing. Katy Perry. I don't care if you don't like her or whatever. But her halftime show was decent. There was some controversy with the left shark out there doing whatever it wanted to do, but that got more attention than her. But I've actually met her in person when I did some touring with the Leatherneck, the Marine tour. She was actually on the same tour.
I like it.
Yeah. So shout out to Katy Perry. Now we get real. Number 4, your man Prince. Prince is number 4, and you're gonna understand why he's number 4.
No, I'm not.
Prince is number 4, and on top of doing Purple Rain and making it rain, you really can't get no higher than that. The only other Rain act that was topping that was Diana Ross in Central Park, but that was back in the 80s. You kids don't know about that. But she's the true diva. She did the show in the Rain in Central Park in New York City. So that was live. But yeah, Prince in the Purple Rain, big shouts out to him. And number 3, for every blue-blooded American man in the world, I don't care. She got in trouble for it. Didn't get a chance to be in, almost got canceled. But Janet Jackson and
Nipplegate.
Nipplegate was, I'm sorry, that's number 3 on the list, bro. That tops Prince. I'll rewind that tape every other.
See, that's a personal performance. We're talking about great
It's my
Super Bowl
list.
halftime. Like
It's my list. It's my list. Number 2. This is a tough one. Because number 2 and number 1, they can either flip flop. But number 2, I got my girl Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston's halftime performance when she sang. Oh, actually, you know what? She was so good, it wasn't even a halftime performance.
I was about to correct you.
It was the beginning of the show. It was the national anthem. Let me go to the list, but I'm gonna put her in there anyway because that was one of the top Super Bowl performances of all time. Okay. So much so, I think if you look it up, and we'll have the stats because my man is Stato. He get all the stats. Mick Hunt get the stats. I think that's the only song or the highest selling song that they made into they pressed that joint and made that live performance available as an album.
Absolutely. And it's the rendition that most people sing now too when they perform. Like they perform the Whitney Houston rendition of it.
The only one I feel is a close second is Marvin Gaye doing the Star Spangled
the national anthem also in the 80s.
Yeah. On that, it's not halftime, but number 1 on the halftime list is the man who started the halftime performance on a high level for the Super Bowl is none other than MJ himself, Michael Jackson, and his unbelievable performance, topping the ratings on In Living Color that started to kill the Super Bowl halftime show. So big shouts out to everybody on the list. That's my list. Shout out to Bad Bunny. Shout out to Jay-Z, who's on the committee. I don't know who will do it next year, but it's getting kind of weird over there with all of these allegations with the Epstein thing. I don't know if anybody's going to be around to be anywhere. But anyway, I digress. That's the top 5, baby.
I mean, I have questions, but it is your list, and I respect your list.
You can ask the question. What up?
I mean, Prince, Purple Rain, In the Rain. I just don't know how that's not.
Listen, for you, I might move him to number 2 since I made a little blunder and made Whitney Houston number 2 when she was really. But those are the top 5 performances. So I still put her up there. But Prince behind Janet, I'll flip flop that for you. Where you gonna put Prince? Where you gonna put Prince number 1?
Like I bet if I were to ask you what 5 songs did Janet sing, you can't tell me anything except Nipple.
I can't tell you one. I couldn't tell you one. I just remember that time. I could barely tell you who pulled the shirt off, but I know it was Justin Timberlake. I might say Justin Bieber if you get me in the wrong conversation.
See. Hey, so Rudy's top 5. Shout out to Fubu Soups, everything for that.
Thank you.
I'm about to give you, so I'm on the fence. I'm going to let Rudy determine which Mount Rushmore he wants me to give. Because I'm going back to the topic. So I had thought through a Mount Rushmore of TV or entertainment father figures. Or I could give you the Mount Rushmore of the father figures in my life.
Wow. Why don't you do this? Why don't you give us both at the same time? One from them and one from the other. You got time? We got time for that. We could do it.
All right, so we'll go 2 Mount Rushmores. The entertainment fathers.
And there's 5 and 5, 4 and 4, 3 and 3, 2 and 2, so on and so on.
All right, bet. And again, these are in no order. Entertainment fathers. So that Mount Rushmore. Man, we got to go with Uncle Phil. Philip Banks got to be on there.
Yes.
I think Philip Banks is a solidified father figure.
Uncle Phil is definitely on.
Right. Uncle Phil was everybody's uncle for a moment. Everybody's uncle. Mount Rushmore in my life. So the other Mount Rushmore. I'm gonna use my grandparents as a figure. So Collis Jackson, Molly Jackson, Cora Sutton, like that. Grandparents on that list.
Okay.
Going back to the entertainment side. Carl Winslow. Carl Winslow.
Now, Carl, I'm going to give you that. But there's a few others. I'm going to see who else is on that list. Because you only got 2 more after Carl Winslow. Yeah. Now, Carl was a strong father figure. So definitely had a good city job.
Hey,
Everybody's teeth was straight in that house. He had benefits.
He had benefits.
So he was a great provider. I don't know if he was on Uncle Phil status, but we'll see who else you got coming up, and then we'll decide from there.
Yep. The fathers that shaped me. This is personal. This is family. My uncle Wayman Jackson. That photo right there. He is that cool uncle that everybody has. That relevant uncle just always shows up for everybody, for everything.
I see that. Smooth cat.
He is that dude, man. Like, my Uncle Wayman is that guy. So Uncle Wayman on the Mount Rushmore of my life. Entertainment, Mount Rushmore. I'm about to go crazy. Rudy's about to hate me. But Mr. Brady, the Brady Bunch, bro. He had a household, bro. Like, he had some kids, bro. Like, and they was old, and they all stayed in the household. Like, even when they were supposed to be in college and all that, like, everybody was there.
Nah, man, nah. Let me say, you could replace him with Tim the Two Man Taylor if you want to. That's an interchangeable position. The one, if you're gonna put the dad from the Brady Bunch. I like Mike, but then if you notice, because I know this Mount Rushmore has to do with your personal life as well. I see where it's going, but in his personal life, he really wasn't into Carol, and I'm gonna leave it there for the rest of the listeners to figure out.
No, I mean, we talked about Carl Winslow too, but anyway.
Uncle Phil too.
right.
Okay. I digress. Let's move on. What's your next family one?
Man, on the personal side, man, like, everybody that knows me knows what this guy means to me, but he's taught me so much in just how to be not just present but available. It's Damon John, man. Like, Damon has so much in my life in shaping who I am as a father. Just amazing.
You're going to have to get his schedule, though, because he's scheduled for like 4 or 5 other Mount Rushmores. He's going to be like, I don't know if I can make your Mount Rushmore, because I got about 4 or 5 other ones. But that's a good choice.
Yep. And then on the entertainment side, this entertainment Mount Rushmore. Man, I've been on the fence. Because there's some people that I should go on there that I can't go on there just because I'm not trying to be canceled by any stretch of imagination. And I'm gonna say this one just because he had to deal with a son with that was crazy. But Mr. Drummond, bro. Mr. Drummond adopted 2 kids.
Yo, that was a wild card right there, but that good one.
Mr. Drummond.
Yes, I didn't think about Mr. Drummond.
And brought him in, changed their life. Talking about Arnold and Willis. He brought him in. And he had Kimberly. Right?
And he had Kimberly, and they never spoke about Kimberly's mom and none of that.
Ever.
He could have been adopted too, for all we know. But at the same time, do you think, and this is totally separate from the show, real quick, what you think Mrs. Garrett's relationship was with Mr. Drummond?
See, there you go.
Yeah, untie that bun. You can have some fun.
See, you just assumed Kimberly's mom wasn't in the picture. You just made a bad assumption. There might have been a storyline that we finding out about now.
No, that was a good one. Mr. Drummond's good. I'll accept Mr. Drummond, actually.
Yep. And then on my personal list, back to that, this one, I need everybody to understand. The father that I'm supposed to be is on my Mount Rushmore because he keeps me accountable. The man that I'm supposed to be, Rudy, we've never had this conversation, but I don't fear anything in life, right? Like, I've never been afraid. I've never had that moment of not knowing what to do. But the one thing that keeps me up at night is that when I pass, that I meet the person I was supposed to be. And that's why he is on my Mount Rushmore. The person I'm supposed to be, the father I'm supposed to be, is on my Mount Rushmore.
All right. That's what's up.
So that is it.
That's a good list, brother.
Now, who did I leave off the list? Because you always give me an honorable mention, and I can never touch Rudy's top 5. I can never have input, but,
On your personal list, it would have been nice. I'm a pretty good dad. I got lots of videos and stuff and court proceedings to prove that I've been there all the time. But, that's what's up. But no, on the father's side, there's a few honorable mentions. There was, George Jefferson.
He had 2 Lionels. He had dark skin and light skin Lionel, bro. Like, he had to figure that out.
See, this is why I don't mess with you, because we think alike. He was real nice to the dark skin Lionel. You know what I'm saying?
He hated light skin Lionel, did he?
Yo, Mick, I'm done. The show's over because you just read my mind. We got to get out of here because that's exactly where I was going with the George Jefferson reference. The light skin and the dark skin Lionel, how he treated both of them equally. You got to be a great dad to be able to do that.
But he did it, though.
He did it. So Shout out to Sherman Hemsley, aka George Jefferson.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. George Jefferson. All right, so Rudy, I'm gonna get everybody out of here on this thought, this Mickism of the day, something that my grandfather taught me, and it has made me who I am. Always keep family first. Always look out for family first, because you never know when you're gonna need them, right? Like, you never know. I said that with a laugh, but it's the truth. But always take care of family first. Whatever family means to you. Family doesn't always have to be blood, right? But always look out and take care of family first before you look at doing things for other people.
That's what's up. That's a good one.
Yes, sir. So that has
Absolutely.
been episode 6. If you love the show, let us know. If you don't like the show, let Rudy know. Whatever Rudy needs to change, I'll let him know. But we appreciate all the love. We appreciate the support. This has been so fun. We're going to continue to do more for you. Hit us up with topics that you want us to research and talk about.
Yes.
So here's the deal. Every topic, Rudy and I research these topics, right? Like, we just don't get on the air and just start talking. Like, we really do research a lot of things.
Yeah.
So if you have something for us, let us know. We'll research it. We might get back to you. And I think, Rudy, I got asked this question. I think by episode 10, we'll have the Power and Punchline community ready too. So be on the lookout for the community.
I love that. I think my mother's ready to join that. She can't wait.
There you go. So tell your mom, instead of $49.99, we'll get her in for,
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
$49 and a quarter. All good. All good.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
Much love to everybody. Keep fulfilling life. Keep a smile on your face. And no matter what, give somebody a hug today, man. Give somebody a hug. Rudy,
absolutely.
A hug to you.
Yeah. And all of, Mick, he's married. So all the single ladies, DM me. I got all the hugs you need.
Yeah, send those messages to Rudy. Get out my box. Love y'all. We'll see y'all on the flip side.
Peace.
That's the power and the punchline. If this episode hit, do me a favor, rate it, review it, subscribe. That's how we keep these conversations coming. Power moves the room. The punchline makes it stick. I'm Rudy Rush. See you next time.